Way up high in Argentina's Andes Mountains, there's a place called the Valle de Uco. It's a region that has totally rewritten the rules for South American wine. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and find out how this incredibly extreme environment became a global winemaking legend. So how does a place even become a wine legend? For Valle de Uco, the answer isn't just about what's in the bottle. No, it's written in the mountains themselves, in that intense sun, and in the very ground where the vines struggle to grow. Let's dig into that recipe. Okay, first things first. To really get why Valle de Uco is such a big deal today, we have to rewind a bit and look at where Argentine wine came from. And trust me, it's a story of a massive, massive transformation. Believe it or not, for most of its history, Argentina was making just enormous amounts of pretty simple, rustic wine. It was all for the local dinner tables. The whole idea of competing with the great wines of Europe, it wasn't even on the radar. This was wine for the people, not for the critics. You can see this has been a long time coming, right? Wine shows up with Spanish colonizers, gets a little boost from European immigrants, but for centuries, it was all about making as much as possible. The real game changer, the moment everything shifted, was in the 1990s. That's when a handful of visionaries looked up at the Andes and asked a crazy question. What if the secret to world-class wine is up there? And yup, that is exactly where they found it. The key that unlocked Argentina's true potential wasn't some newfangled technique or a forgotten grape. It was a place, the extreme, breathtaking heights of the mountains. Now, to understand why, we need to talk about one of the most important words in wine, terroir. It's a French term, and it sounds kind of fancy, but all it really means is a sense of place. It's everything that makes a vineyard unique: the soil, the climate, the slope, the elevation, and how all those things come together to shape how a wine actually tastes. Valle de Uco's magic formula really has 4 key pillars. First off, the Andes block the rain, creating this dry, almost desert-like climate. Then, that high altitude gives you super intense sunlight and cool temperatures. And this creates this secret weapon, a huge thermal amplitude. That just means you get blazing hot days to ripen the grapes, and then freezing cold nights to lock in all that freshness and acidity. And finally, the soil is rocky and poor, which actually stresses the vines out and forces them to make smaller grapes with way more concentrated flavor. It's brilliant. And look, when we say high altitude, we are not kidding. We're talking about vineyards planted up to 1,500 meters. That's almost 5,000 feet up. To give you some perspective, that makes this one of the highest places on the entire planet where people are growing wine grapes commercially. It's just incredible. So what does all that altitude actually do to the wine? Well, it makes a world of difference. See, wines from lower, hotter places can sometimes just be fruity and soft. But these high-altitude wines from Valle de Uco, they hit this perfect sweet spot. You get all the ripeness you could want from that intense sun, but it's perfectly balanced by this amazing, vibrant acidity and structure from the cold nights. The result is just layers and layers of complexity. And this unique, extreme environment, well, it turned out to be the perfect stage for one grape in particular to become an absolute global superstar, Malbec. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It captures that perfect synergy. It wasn't just that someone planted Malbec in Valle de Uco. It's like the grape finally found its true home, the one place on Earth where it could show everyone what it was really capable of. What's so wild is that back in France, where it came from, Malbec was often just a minor grape, something you'd throw into a blend to add a bit of color. But in the high-altitude vineyards of Valle de Uco, it completely transformed. It developed this deep, inky color, these velvety tannins, and these beautiful floral and dark fruit aromas that it just couldn't get anywhere else. All right, so we've talked about the science, the altitude, the sun, the soil, the whole shebang. But what does all of this actually taste like when you pour it in a glass? Let's break down the 2 star players. The high-altitude Malbec is famous for those violent and plum aromas, but when you taste it, it's not just a fruit bomb. It's got this incredible elegance and structure, with that fresh acidity holding it all together. And it's not just about reds. The Chardonnay here is just as impressive. You get these crisp citrus and green apple notes, with this distinct mineral backbone that comes straight from those rocky soils. But of course, the story doesn't end here. To protect this incredible and unique legacy, the producers in the Valle de Uco are already thinking hard about the future. Look, they're facing some serious hurdles, right? Climate change in a place that's already a desert is a huge one.
But they're not just sitting back. The response has been really proactive. Wineries are doubling down on sustainability, using organic and biodynamic farming to protect that fragile ecosystem, and using cutting-edge tech to manage every single drop of water. They are constantly innovating just to stay ahead.
When you boil it all down, the story of Valle di Uco is this incredible proof that the most extreme environments can produce the most extraordinary wines. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. If altitude was the secret here, as our world keeps changing, what other frontiers, maybe volcanic slopes, coastal deserts, or even higher mountains, are going to shape the next legendary bottle of wine?